blah, blah, blah. Yes.
Hello and welcome, everyone. This is Crime from the East. I'm your host, Pia. And with me, wait, I don't think I've mentioned this before, or have I? But with me is my cousin, Alex.
Who's that?
Hello, cousin.
Hey, cuz. That's true. We sort of have shied away from that fun fact. Well, I don't know. People probably guessed we were related somehow because we talk about our fun shared Bengali family.
Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. You know, can't complain.
All good?
All good. How about you?
You know something fun?
Huh?
So I sent in my DNA to one of those ancestry type sites just for fun, just to see like what's my ethnic composition like. Have you done that?
No, never.
Never? Okay. So as expected, I'm like 99% South Asian, Indian subcontinent.
No way.
Weirdly enough, there's like a 1% weird inheritance from like Turkey or Georgia or something in some other country. And my sister has like a 0.4% Finnish gene segment. I don't know where that came from, Alex. And all of a sudden, 23andMe is now mailing me all these fifth cousins that I have in America. White fifth cousins, Alex. I got white people fifth cousins. You know what that means?
All your Swedish cousins. Ooh, yes. A little bit of that white colonial devil.
Yeah, those damn white colonial devils got
Snuck
to
in?
my family. They got to us. And I'm not calling my fifth white cousins out. I'm talking about whatever white dudes in the 1800s banged someone in my family, I guess.
Yeah, Dad, we're not talking about you either.
We're talking about the colonial era. It's so weird, so strange. I mean, it may have even been much, much before that. It may have nothing to do with the colonials. It could have been, who knows, back in the day, like 500 years ago.
I bet it's, is it Genghis or is it Genghis Khan?
Genghis.
Aren't we like 80% of the population has somehow some DNA related to him?
Yeah, pretty much. We're all connected.
We're all connected through blood.
We're the blood sisters. Yeah, why am I talking about this? Because today, well, we're not exactly talking about anything related to what I just said, but it is loosely.
That's one way to segue.
Loosely related to this. We're going to talk about how in some families, when they have strife and struggle and, you know, confrontation and problems, how they solve it. Like some people fight, screaming matches.
Therapy is the thing that people do. Healthy, communication.
And in some cases, when things go a little too wrong and a little too far, there's only one way out. Sometimes the rage and thirst for vengeance completely take over. And there's absolutely no hope of escape from this whirlpool.
You keep it in the family.
Yeah, they keep it in the family, for sure.
Okay. So little family annihilation or something?
Meh, somewhat.
Ish.
The theme today is when wives kill.
Oh.
Okay, so we're going to talk about not one, but two cases. I'm going to do two, and I believe, Alex, you have a couple of cases you want to talk about as well, right?
I mean, I can bring in some reference points from outside of South Asia.
Yes, because we wanted to show this is not a problem with Desi women at all.
We just bring our special flavor to it, right?
Exactly. We do it differently, but when push comes to shove, don't mess with women. That's what I want to say.
This wouldn't be really like a Black Widow episode either, because this is not necessarily women who are like marrying and then killing their husbands for the money, right? Or maybe that's an element to it, but it's not strict. We're not strictly talking like Black Widows.
No, we're not talking about like premeditated type of sinister shit. This is like very visceral, very reactionary.
Okay.
Like solving a problem type of crime. And yeah, all these cases are very gruesome and horrific. So if you have a queasy constitution, keep the volume low.
Don't eat Don't be eaten right now.
Don't get on any roller coasters and put this episode on.
Or do. Just see. Maybe it'll like balance it out.
So the killers in all our stories are women.
Neat.
And their MO is the common factor between the cases. And you'll see what that gruesome MO is. All right?
Is it poison, perchance?
No, not poison today.
Interesting.
There's a lot cooked into the story.
Oh, is that a hint?
Wink, wink, wink. Our first case is the killer curry from Karachi.
I think I tried that before. I was on the toilet for like 3 days.
Ay, ay, ay. Our first case is from Pakistan in November of 2011. A man called Behzad lived in a 2-story building he owned in a densely populated small town called Shah Faisal Colony in Karachi, Pakistan. The modest building was also home to one family who were tenants on the upper floor, the first floor. They were 32-year-old Zainab Bibi, her husband Ahmad Abbas, and Zainab's 17-year-old daughter from her previous marriage. Zainab's 22-year-old nephew Zahir was a frequent visitor to their home, and he was close to his aunt, so he probably stayed there from time to time.
Okay.
Zainab had separated from her first husband and married Ahmad just 5 years at this point in 2011, hoping to make a go of it again. They were not in a good position financially, and the struggles of survival made their family life quite tumultuous, to say the least. Ahmad would get drunk and fight with Zainab often, and of course, when I say fight, it's mostly one-sided. I'm pretty sure he must have been
beating her,
assaulting her, beating her, yeah. And this is the story in so many homes in South Asia. It's almost a trope at this point. There's practically no addressal of domestic violence in South Asian society, and most people just accept it as normal, as, status quo. Yeah, it just happens.
Gotta get that fixed.
Back in November of 2011, Behzad heard a commotion coming from his upstairs apartment, and he went to check on his tenants. Some neighbors from the adjacent homes had already come over and complained to Behzad that a foul stench was emanating from the upstairs apartment. So he finally decided to go and check for himself, and probably regretted that decision.
Uh-oh.
There was, indeed, a very awful smell coming from the home, and as the door opened, Behzad was witness to a scene that alerted him at once that something was not quite right. He could see blood spatters all over the room, and there were large pots on the stove, bubbling away furiously. He asked Zainab what was going on, to which she replied that she was making a large batch of curry. Not seeing Ahmad around, because this is typical in South Asian communities, right? Men don't generally go and talk to the women in the house. They would prefer to talk to the men in the house. And so he asked for Ahmad. But he wasn't there. Zainab said he's gone out. I haven't seen him. So that was strange. And finding the whole situation altogether a little suspicious, Behzad and the neighbors called the police.
Okay.
That's weird, isn't it? Like, I wouldn't have called the police at this point.
Maybe it smelled really weird.
But I don't know. Like, if something smells weird, you call the cops?
Maybe she was just acting super sketch. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. It's strange. When I read this, I was like, why was the police called? I don't see enough evidence for them to have called the police. Yeah. Maybe it's not reported properly why they did that. Like, I'm curious. Why? The cops came in and they found, trigger warning, gruesome stuff coming up, pieces of flesh in 2 large bowls by the stove, ready to be cooked. And on searching further, they found the dismembered remains of a man, assumed to be Ahmad, in a box festered with flies and decomposing rapidly owing to the heat.
Oh, ooh. Yeah, I'm telling you, it smelled weird in there.
But still, you can't call the cops because something smells funny.
If it smells like dead body, I'm calling, maybe.
Yep.
And if it's hot, that smell is gonna, happen pretty fast, I feel like.
This neighborhood is typical of South Asia. Homes built on top of each other, right next to each other. There's no privacy or breathing room at all. You can see and hear and smell everything going on all around you.
And I think there's just no way to dispose of a body like bit by bit in your kitchen for things to not start getting pretty ripe.
So as incredulous as it sounds, Zainab had killed her husband and was cooking his remains into a curry to dispose of it. She was arrested along with her nephew Zahir, who was charged for dismembering the body. Zainab confessed that she had sedated her husband with sleeping pills in his drink and then strangled him with a rope. She had to get rid of his body, and there's no way she could inconspicuously carry that down to the ground floor without anyone seeing, because like I mentioned, there's hundreds of eyes on you 24/7 in communities like that.
Yeah, right.
And so naturally, chopping it up seemed like the easiest way out, I suppose. I don't know. Criminals aren't always the smartest tools in the shed. Yeah, it's dumb, but...
She's not the first one to have that idea, for sure.
Now, why had she done this in unspeakable act?
Why are we cooking up our husband? I mean, he was beating. It sounds like he was kind of a jerk, but why did we kill him?
Now, 2 days before this incident, Zainab had gone to the police station with her husband to report her 17-year-old daughter missing.
Uh-oh. Okay.
She's missing at this point. And now Zainab claimed that her husband Ahmad had attempted to molest her daughter several times over the years when he was drunk. He had also started to say disgusting things like he wanted to marry her and make her his second wife.
Ugh. Okay. Well, I'm glad he's curry, if that's true. I don't like that.
Now, this was the last straw, and Zainab decided that he has got to go.
Yeah.
But where was her daughter? We don't know, because nothing beyond this was reported on in mainstream media. Perhaps it's reported better in Pakistani news in Urdu somewhere, but I can't read Urdu, so I don't know. There's no information about this missing daughter, if she was found, if she simply ran away because of the abuse, or if something happened to her. We don't know. But it seems like at least somewhat there is some relation to that incident.
Yeah.
There's cause and effect. Like, she ran away because maybe he did something and Zainab took revenge to protect her daughter.
Yeah. I'd be out of there. Oh, it sounds just bad all around.
Bad, bad, bad. Now, what exactly took place is not known, and I doubt any reporter actually tried to go beyond the scandalous headlines and find out what drove this seemingly, normal woman to take such an inhuman step. No one bothered to find out.
It makes sense to me, as weird as it sounds, to do this. The mistake you make, the first mistake, is killing the husband in your apartment. So it must have been spontaneous and not planned.
Here's something that probably makes it even worse. How Zainab met this man is because he was her daughter's teacher when she was in middle school. Okay. So he was her teacher when she was a child.
Yuck.
Then he became her stepfather, and now he started molesting her. So yeah,
this is very Lolita-y.
Now I kind of give her the benefit of the doubt. Something must have been going on, and she was just protecting her daughter. She just went about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Murder and dismembering is obviously not the answer.
Yeah.
And it may seem totally unreasonable, obviously, for Zainab to have resorted to murder. But maybe we could see it from a different perspective, knowing that nearly 80% of women in Pakistan are subject to domestic violence, marital rape, and receive next to no help from the legal system or even from society.
Yeah.
To a lot of women, especially those with no means to support themselves, there's no hope. There's no hope of escape or salvation, really. They have their backs against the wall. They got nowhere to go. So, bam, murder.
Yeah, it definitely frames it differently when you have the whole context of the situation, and this guy being potentially very evil makes it feel a little more, not justified, but reasoned.
Yes, she's a criminal, but her motivation
was survival, kind of.
Yes, it was more a case of survival, really.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Intense. That was
Intense.
quick and intense.
Yeah, that's the end of our first case. You want to pepper in one of your stories, Alex? We can do a back and forth.
Yeah. So this story about an Egyptian woman who immigrated to the US. Her name is Omaima Ari Nelson. There's some interesting parallels, I guess, although this story is like pretty weird. Basically, Omaima Ari Nelson, born in Egypt, as I mentioned, immigrated to the US in her late teens. A few years later, she met her husband, William Bill Nelson, and she was just 23 years old. He was 56.
Wow.
So a big age difference. I mean, that happens. But then they married like literally within days of meeting. So.
Was it like a green card situation?
I don't know. But that's definitely the first thing that comes to mind. But also people are crazy and will do stuff like that sometimes. So maybe it wasn't. But then it gets even better because she killed him within a month of their union.
What?
Yeah.
So they met, got married in a month, and then in another month, bam, he's dead.
Yeah. They got married in October, and by the end of November, he was out of this world.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
She claimed that he was sexually assaulting her. I'm not really sure if that was the motivation, but one night he sexually assaulted her and she retaliated by stabbing Bill with scissors and then beating him to death with a clothing iron. Abruptly cutting short their union.
That sounds really violent, like pent up rage.
Yeah. Scissors and just beating someone to death with a clothing iron. That, even though it's a heavy instrument, that takes some adrenaline
that takes effort
and force. Yeah, for sure.
And I bet you she wasn't like built like an Amazon. I bet she was, at least smaller in stature than her husband. So for her to have overpowered him and killed him, that must have been like berserker mode.
She was a former model and nanny on the petite side.
Damn.
So then after
hard
killing
to
him,
tell. Yeah.
She went down a similar route, dismembering her late hubby's body, boiling the identifying appendages such as his head and hands, and then over the course of the night grinding up bits of him in the food disposal mixed with leftover turkey.
Why? Why did she add the turkey?
Maybe just to like not be suspicious. The neighbors said that they heard her running the food disposal the whole night though. So it's like,
oh my God.
Turkey, yeah.
And then?
So then to top it all off, she reportedly castrated him in revenge for his alleged sexual assaults. And she told her psychiatrist that she had cooked her husband's ribs in barbecue sauce and eaten them. But later she denied this. So there, are rumors of cannibalism. There was also allegations that this sexual assault involved some sort of bondage, which not good if you're not consenting. If you are considering, whatever, do you, I guess. But there's just like a nice little sprinkling of horror.
It had to have been something extreme. If in 2 months she went from, oh, I love you to I want you dead.
Right. It had to have been. There is
crazy.
a little piece of background context that might explain, it might add a little bit of light to the situation that during the trial, it was revealed that when she was a child living in Cairo, she had undergone female genital mutilation. And so sex was already something that was not enjoyable or fun for her.
Okay. That explains a lot. She was already a survivor of
brutality.
Yeah, brutality. And now it makes sense, her extreme reaction. And yes, she committed a crime. And in the eyes of the law, she ended up as a criminal. But it makes sense. There is a cause and effect. Yeah. She was a victim and a survivor herself before any of this happened.
Anyway, she got arrested, convicted. She's in jail.
She's paying the price, which is fair, I suppose.
Maybe just don't be killing the husbands in the house. Take them out for date night so you don't have to deal with the body.
Push them in the river. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't kill your husbands. Come on now.
Yeah, they might be dummies. Just go to the police if they're being bad. And if the police don't help, just get out of there.
Get out of there.
I know it's not that simple. I guess caveat. We know that it's not that simple. Like, a lot of women can't get out of the situations that they're in, but
I think studies show that when you try to get out is when you're in the most danger.
yeah.
So yes, it's not an easy situation, but you got to do what you got to do. You defend yourself when you need to and protect yourself as you need to.
But let's just cool it on the cannibalism, maybe. That's all. We just don't need the eating.
Go
eating
vegan.
or the cooking. Just let's keep
It's
food
not-
out of this.
It's not vegan. It's not
Yeah.
It's not very fat-free or low-carb to be eaten humans. Okay. The next case I'm covering is the Singapore curry murder of 1984.
Oh, some more curry.
Curry. This case caused a huge buzz in Singapore back in the day. And even today, it's very well known among people from that generation. And I thought of covering this because while it is taking place in Singapore, which is Southeast Asia, not too out of our wheelhouse, but the suspects and the victim were of Indian origin. So I guess it counts.
There are a lot of Indians in Singapore, eh?
It is truly a melting pot of cultures. The population is made up of ethnically Chinese, Malay, and Indian people, mostly from South India. And within South India, mostly from Tamil Nadu. Lots and lots of Indian Tamilians have settled in Singapore and Malaysia for decades.
Tamilians. I love that.
While I said that the murder is from 1984, the actual case didn't gain momentum till January of 1987, when an anonymous caller reported to the Singapore police that a 34-year-old man called Ayakanu Maritamuttu had been murdered by his wife and her brothers. So this sounds like a movie, like an anonymous caller. Hello, I want to report a murder. Somebody killed their husband and made him into a curry. Goodbye. Take care. Bye. Love you. That call is what kicked off this case.
Okay.
Maritamuttu or Muttu worked as a caretaker in charge of the public holiday homes in Changi, Singapore. The anonymous caller claimed that Muttu had been chopped up into pieces and cooked into a curry with all kinds of aromatic spices by his killers. He seemed to know a lot of details about this murder.
Yeah, it's very specific.
Yes, because he had all these specific details, the cops were like, okay, this sounds very specific. We have to look into it.
There was lemongrass, there was jeera, there was curcuma.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of chili, green chili, red chili, turmeric, all the stuff, yeah. The police looked into it and found that Muttu had been reported missing by his wife 3 years ago in 1984 at the Joo Chiat police station in Singapore, where she stated that Muttu had gone to Genting Highlands, a casino haven, to try his hand at gambling, but he never came back from that trip. They questioned and even ended up arresting Muttu's wife, Nagaratha, and her 3 brothers, her mother, and 1 sister-in-law. So 6 people were arrested over this anonymous call. And one of these 3 brothers was a butcher, coincidentally.
Okay. That could be
Handy. That's a handy trade.
Sure.
Apparently, one of these suspects did confess that Maritamuttu used to drink a lot and beat his wife on the daily, like time and time again. They had 3 kids, 3 small kids, and the family was just tired of undergoing this
Yeah, he was a bastard.
repeated violence night after night.
Yeah.
After a while, she had had enough of the violence and she plotted with her family to get rid of him.
We done.
Allegedly, the family got together, killed Maritamuttu, and then butchered him into pieces small enough to make curry out of. The spices and chili were added to mask the smell. And then the curry was mixed with rice, packed into plastic bags, and thrown into dumpsters all over Singapore. All this was part of the confessions from these suspects. But despite the arrest and investigation, no corroborating evidence was found at all. No body, no remains. And you know what they say, right? No body, no crime.
So no curry? They didn't
No
find any curry?
No curry. They found nothing. No murder weapon, no body, nothing. So after 4 years in custody, the wife and brothers were finally set free. And legally, that sounds about right to me. Like, you can't just jail someone without evidence, especially if the evidence, the only thing they have is an anonymous caller.
Yeah.
That's not reliable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how the case ended.
Do you think they're doing this in, like, outdoor kitchens?
Outdoor kitchens. I don't think you have the luxury of these kind of homes in Singapore.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I've just been thinking, okay, it's kind of smart to cook like meat into curry, because once you cook human flesh into a curry, it probably just would taste or resemble or, you know, smell like pork or chicken or meat. It's gonna smell like curry more than anything, so that's kind of smart. But at the same time, when you're actually cooking the meat, like, people were, you know, around smelling human flesh cooking and just didn't even know. It's just wild.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I hate the smell of meat curry cooking. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Whenever meat used to cook in my house growing up, I was just like, oh God, this is so gross. I hated it. I did not want to eat meat at home. So yeah, I can see how people immediately like hone in when they smell something like that cooking, and they're like, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, they're free. They were set free. There was a TV show made about this case, and the family tried to sue them for defamation.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. You're just pointing the finger at a whole family who might just be innocent in the end, right? Maybe they did nothing. It's possible that Mari Tamuttu met some other fate.
Yeah.
We can't say for sure. We can't call them murderers just because some anonymous caller had a field day with that call.
Mm-hmm.
That's the case. The Singapore curry murder, very famous, but you can't still call it the curry murder. Technically, it's not a curry murder. There's no curry.
No curry.
No murder.
No curry murder. Yeah.
It's just the man missing in Singapore. And his wife made a curry, probably. That's it.
Yeah.
That's my case.
Cool.
All right.
And also in Singapore, I wonder what kind of curry they were making. That's stupid.
Hey, since we talked about this case from Singapore, I just quickly wanted to recommend a new podcast that's come out from Singapore. It's called Heinous. Now, Heinous is an Asian true crime podcast, which is a revived look at the most heinous crimes that happened across Asia.
The episodes are creepily immersive. So, yeah, go check it out. Get creeped out. Get immersified.
You see? Easy. Now, follow what I did. He shoved the bolster into Kevin's face. Go and practice killing my wife.
Ooh, I'm gonna listen. I'm excited for that. That's gonna be awesome. Check them out.
Go check them out. Subscribe to Heinous.
Okie doke.
Yeah. When I was researching these cases, I saw so many more instances of women, wives and girlfriends, killing their partners and cutting them up and trying to cook them. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is that runs through these women's minds, but they try to do this a lot.
I know.
Men, not so much, but women seem to end up taking this path.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more. Their job is to be in the kitchen. So they're like, all right, I'll be in the kitchen. I'll show you what I can do in the kitchen.
I still think there's something very pragmatic about it. It's like, how do I get rid of this body in a way, that leverages my best skills? That's terrible.
In the end, we're all meat bags anyway, right?
I'm thinking about some other cases. Like, there was that Australian, I think they call her a serial killer, but I don't know how much of a serial killer she was. Her name was Katherine Knight. She was actually like a monster of a woman. She worked at a butcher factory.
Oh.
And she loved her knives. And she, I think, murdered her husband, skinned him, cooked him up in all different kinds of plates, like,
Oh
you
my
know, made a
gosh.
roast and mashed potatoes and vegetables, like a whole spread.
Oh.
But there are also some like male serial killers that I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer cooked, but I don't know if he dabbled in eating, but he definitely cooked up some of his victims' body parts.
Yeah, but you see, those seem more like people who had mental issues.
Yeah,
Who
true.
derived some kind of pleasure from it.
True.
I think that's the difference between them and the cases we talk about today. Like, those are insane nut jobs who derive some pleasure out of the killing and the cooking and the eating.
All of these two cases, and even the one I talked about, if true, these were women who were really in situations where they didn't have many options. It's bad to say, but like,
they must have felt totally helpless. They must have felt like the system will fail them and not help them one bit. Because yes, a lot of times you will see if the woman reports something, the cops will just laugh it off, maybe even make a report, but then send her right back home, do nothing to the husband. And now he's even more mad.
Right.
So these cases that we talked about today are not so much about crazy women,
people,
but more about
desperate
women who felt like they had no
desperate
where
women
to go.
Yeah.
Desperate women who unfortunately had to commit such inhuman crimes.
With a little masala and spice.
Aggressors with a little masala and spice, yes.
Sorry, I had to.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Hey, you ready for Bollywood Corner?
Yeah. Oh, yes. I want like an Indian murder ratatouille.
I don't want to go out looking for movies along this theme. I don't think I'd enjoy watching it. So what I did pick instead were movies where the women are central figures and there's all kinds of murder and mayhem happening around them.
Okay, cool.
They are both thrillers. They're on Netflix. I highly recommend them. Go give them a watch. They're newer movies, so they don't have as much cheese in them as the older ones usually do. They're very well made. Definitely watch them, okay? The first one is called Haseen Dilruba, which means beautiful, beloved, femme fatale kind of a woman.
Okay.
Okay, this is not about two perfect people coming together and having a love story. Nope. It's a tale of a very flawed, newly married couple who don't really know each other. They just, it's an arranged marriage. And they choose drastic actions instead of just communicating clearly with each other. Okay? Things just go wrong, totally out of control.
You know, we need some conflict to make the movie interesting. So.
The wife wants like a bad boy kind of husband, and unfortunately the husband is just too nice. He's too nice. He's like a nice nerd.
That's a dangerous thing to be sometimes. Too
yeah,
nice.
like, you know, the quiet type.
Yeah.
He's got like storm brewing inside, but he won't see it. Like, he's quiet. He's a nice guy. But he's not the bad boy she wants. And she keeps taunting him. Why can't you be like this? Blah, blah, blah. This guy's cousin shows up and he is the bad boy type. Right. And so things get a little steamy there and spiral out of control to the point where there's an explosion in the house, which kills the husband.
Oh, shit.
And now the wife is a suspect.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. Sounds titillating.
Things are not as straightforward as I'm saying it right now. So definitely go watch this one. I don't want to say anything more. Okay, it's called Haseen Dilruba. The next movie is Mrs. Serial Killer.
Okay, on the nose.
This is one of those almost bad, but not so bad that you don't enjoy parts of it kind of movie.
Okay.
Jacqueline Fernandez, who's actually originally from Sri Lanka. She now is a Bollywood actress.
Okay.
She plays the role of Sona, a dedicated wife whose husband is suddenly the suspect in a series of serial killings in their small town. So she does all she can to exonerate him and find the real killer. Things happen, obviously. There's a bunch of twists in the tale, which I don't want to spoil for you. So go watch it. It's called Mrs. Serial Killer.
That's easy to remember.
Easy to remember.
Awesome.
That was it.
Things to watch. I guess we'll probably include those Bollywood Corner in our next posts on the things that you should follow, which leads us to the things you should follow.
Tell them, Alex.
We are on the Instagrams at Crimes from the East. We have a website, of the same name, crimesfromtheeast.com. You can visit us on Patreon. If you like what you hear, you can access more content and special stuff, right?
And early releases. All episodes come out there first.
I want to start doing small series episodes like this more often. So send us little stories that we could compile, maybe. I don't know.
You may have noticed that there isn't too much detail in these stories, and I apologize for that. I didn't do my usual deep dive because I just don't have time. There's a lot of stuff going on at home.
CrimeCon. Oh yeah, go visit Pia at CrimeCon.
Yes, I will be at CrimeCon in a couple of weeks. It's the first time I'm going. I'm very excited and nervous. So if anyone listening is coming, message me. Let's meet up there. Let's go to an event together. Let's check it out. I'm excited to go see Joe Kenda, the homicide hunter. He's an amazing super cop. He's solved 400 homicides in his career. And there's also genetic genealogy experts who will be presenting their methods and stuff and special cases, which I want to see. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's also events done by the investigators and family of the Delphi case in the US. It's a very famous case from, I think, 5 years now at this point. The murders of two teenage girls, Abby and Libby.
Okay.
In Delphi. I believe it's Indiana. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think I remember this.
Their murder is still unsolved.
Yeah.
And so there will be a presentation on that case at the event, which I definitely want to go watch. So yeah, I'm excited to go to CrimeCon. Yeah, mingle about with other true crime explorers. I don't want to say enthusiasts because you don't want to encourage more true crime content to be made in this world. You just want to explore the ones that already exist and are unsolved.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we had this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, though. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah. I thought it was fun.
And that's about it. Alex, you had any other parting thoughts? Anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, don't let this, make you afraid to try curry if you haven't tried curries.
Oh my God.
There's not just one. There are many. And they're all beautiful and delicious, pretty much. And mostly, I would say 99.8% of the time, there is no husband in them. So
yeah. I hope we haven't sullied the name of curry in this world.
We'd be like traitors to our heritage if we
Blasphemy. Blasphemy. All right. Join us again in a couple weeks in another episode of Crimes from the East. Your fortnightly dose of Desi true crime and strange phenomenon with a little masala and